Alright guys, welcome back to All Things Outdoors. Today I'm out here in the backyard, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys it's firewood season. You guys all gotta get firewood, you gotta split it, you gotta stack it, all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna be doing a little bit of firewood videos. So yeah. Anyway, today I'm gonna be showing you how to split firewood with a wedge. This is a wedge. But anyway, more on that later. So please be sure to watch this video till the end. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And be sure to put that down in the comments below so you did that first shout out. And without further ado, let's get started. So here we have some nice firewood here that I got. Got a couple logs that I just cut. Pretty dry on the inside. This probably still needs to be a little bit drier, but we're just splitting it today. And yeah, so we're going to show you how to split firewood that could be a little bit different, because every piece of wood is different. So we have a piece that is pretty straight here and does not have very many knots. And then we have another pretty straight piece. And then we have one that has a lot of knots, so that we can show you guys how to deal with wood that has a lot of knots or a couple knots or no knots. Like this piece has a couple knots, got 2 of them so far that I can see. This one has not that many, so yeah. Anyway, we're gonna cut them. We're gonna split them. So I've got a splitting wedge. Here we just have the Collins 7-pound splitting wedge. Pretty sharp. Sharpened it not too long ago. And yeah, so it is pretty loud, so I always wear earplugs when I do it. But yeah, I'm gonna put the camera up in the tripod, and then I'm gonna put my earplugs in, and I will bring you guys back when I'm done. My earplugs in, and now we're ready to split. So what you're gonna want to do is you want to make sure you want to look at the wood first. So usually, if you look at the wood, you can usually see where it will split the best. So if you look at this side, if you look at the grain, you can kind of see little, I don't know if you can even see it on camera, but there's a little bit of a kind of a mark there. So we're probably going to split it there because it might split open easier. Usually works, so I don't know why it wouldn't work this time. You'll want to place your wedge right in the middle of the wood, or at least right where you want to split it. Then you're going to take a hammer and beat it. And as you can see, split right open. Piece of cake. Very, very nice and easy. Now we're going to show you how to do it when there's some knots in the wood. This piece isn't the one with the most knots, but it has some in there. As you can see, a pretty big one right there, another one right there, small one there, and yeah, and there's one right there. So pretty easy, but not as easy as the last one, but a little bit harder. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to split in the direction that's not parallel to, you're going to want to split perpendicular to the knots. So the knots here on this side, you're going to want to split here. We'll show you. Got our piece of wood, got our wedge, and now I'm going to split it. Again, same as the last time. Put your wedge in the middle of where you're gonna split it, and then hit it with the hammer. And as you can see, it's starting to split. Pretty big crack in it already. And as you can see, our technique, 2 perfectly split pieces of wood. And now, we got a piece with a lot of knots in it. As you can see, we got some pretty big knots in there. Definitely gonna be a lot harder to split. So, what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna take the path of least resistance, the spot that doesn't have as many knots. So, it looks like kind of be right here where this crack is. Right in between two knots. So, see if it works. Again, you're going to line up the wedge like so. Make sure that you guys can see. And that should be good. Let's see, what do we got going on so far? I'm starting to see a little bit of cracking, but not a big crack. There we go, it's starting to crack. Oh yeah, doing pretty good. And every once in a while, you'll have to reset the wedge. Not too hard. Keep hitting it with the hammer. And look at that. Went right through. As you can see, you went right in between those two knots. We fit it back together. Here's where the knots were. And then the crack is where we split it. Did pretty good. Okay. And now, say we did pretty good there. We split that wood pretty nicely. Well, it's so much different without the earplugs. Yeah, look at that. And this is actually tulip poplar, and its other name is yellow poplar. So you can see how it gets its name. It's yellow on the inside. Isn't that neat? Tulip poplar. Very nice tree. Get very tall and straight trunks. There's a big one right there. Pretty big. And you can see our nice pieces of firewood that we got from it. And unfortunately, with tulip poplar, this bark tends to hold water. There's a very easy way to fix that. Just take the bark off. And as you can see, it's quite wet underneath the bark, but the inside of the wood itself is dry. So it's not going to affect your burn time unless it's like really been wet for a long time. Because then after a while of being wet, water does start to soak into the wood, which obviously you don't want it. But yeah, I'd say we did pretty good. We got a lot of good wood out of those pieces. And sometimes you can even split these again to get smaller pieces. And basically, if you want to get smaller wood, just keep splitting it. But these half logs are pretty good size. I'd say that's a nice size for a fire. So I'm going to keep them like that. I mean, we could have them this big, but they're fine with the way they are. We got probably, and that doubled our output of wood from 3 logs to 6 logs now. So you see how splitting can definitely make your wood last a lot longer, and it also exposes the inside of the wood, which is useful because a lot of times the split wood will burn a lot easier than the regular wood with just the bark on it, because the bark can hold water underneath it, and it can prevent it from burning, which is obviously not good, and it makes it make a lot of smoke. But if you split it, then it exposes that underside of the wood and the inside of the wood, which is much more flammable and much drier, so it'll burn a lot better and a lot easier, which makes it a lot more useful to you, and it makes it a lot more useful for whatever you're going to use it for. So great idea to split your wood. Highly recommend it. It's not too hard. It's easier with an axe or a splitting axe or a maul or something like that. I just have the wedge because, actually I don't know why I have the wedge only, but yeah, we have the wedge and it works pretty well anyway. So I'd say it's pretty good. It works very easily. So yeah, and this tulip poplar burns pretty well. It's not like oak or anything. It's not at the level of oak, but it is pretty good. As long as it's dry. If it's wet, then it doesn't burn well at all. This is not a wood that you start when it is wet. You cannot start wet poplar, but when it's dry, it burns really nicely, which is always a pro. As you can see, it's acted pretty easily. But yeah, that's gonna be about all for today's video. So once again, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Be sure to put that down in the comments below saying that you did that for a shout out. And we will see you guys in the next adventure.